Stoics learned how to observe and understand people well over the course of their long and important lives. We are confident that the body, particularly women's bodies, can reveal a tremendous deal about a person's personality, feelings, and desires. We can find surprising things about bodies by paying close attention to small details. We'll discuss psychological facts that may challenge your beliefs today, looking into the thinking behind some physical traits, with a focus on women's bodies and investigating how they might reveal hidden truths, is an interesting topic. Before we delve into this fascinating topic, please remember to watch this video. Watch the whole movie. If you enjoy this type of content, please remember to like and subscribe. Leave a comment below with your ideas or stories. Now let's talk about the 7 parts that are sure to shock you. Chapter 1. What a small. Have you ever noticed that women with smaller noses tend to carry certain traits on their faces? People have long thought that the size of a woman's nose could be a sign of her personality. This may sound strange. She is connected to other parts of her body, especially her private anatomy, also known as her sex. Some contemporary psychological theories still make use of this long-standing concept. The situation has persisted, leading people to question whether there is any truth to it. Staunch people, whoever paid close attention to both nature and human behavior, would have likely seen that the nose was more than just depending on the facial trait. It could have been a key to understanding from an evolutionary perspective, an individual's overall health or vitality, and even their personality traits are significant factors. People have long thought that having a smaller nose was a sign of femininity, having noses that look delicate or fragile, which makes me wonder what this might mean about the relationship between a woman's private anatomy and body shape. May not be as clear, have strong science support. It's based on how people think in general. Many people think that a smaller nose could indicate a smaller, more refined private area, which aligns with the concept of a smaller body. Often, elegance or subtlety are associated with a frame or feature. This idea goes back to old beliefs held that different parts of a person's face and body reveal deeper details about their body. Making these kinds of decisions improves their psychic well-being. People have always wanted to categorize things and understand what's happening in the world. It encompasses our perception of physical characteristics, particularly in relation to our desires. Libido. Although a small nose might not seem significant, it has been associated with libido for hundreds of years. Femininity, which means a woman's general softness and elegance. And in some, because of the size of her private parts. It's important to note that these beliefs vary from culture to culture. In some places, a small nose ideas of beauty and class have linked women with smaller noses. They were often thought to have delicate, almost ethereal traits that showed in other parts of their. In these societies, people regarded the nose as a symbol of grace. This could provide you with information about a woman's entire body, including her intimate areas. However, no two women are alike. And although these external connections may hold validity, Stoic ideas stress the importance of order and reliability, but this doesn't always hold true. Reasons to look at someone carefully before drawing any conclusions based on their small nose does not mean that her body will easily fit into a set group. The human body in all this concept of variety is filled with many wonders. Cultural norms and psychological tendencies may have a greater influence on the size of your nose and your intimate anatomy. From a psychological perspective, the belief in these physical aspects is a solid truth. Maybe people look for connections because they want to find patterns in the world of attraction, which seems to be full of random events. When it comes to relationships, people often look for little things that will help them get through the complex web of physical and mental connections. A small nose, and only some parts of a person's look, can lead to assumptions about their whole body and physique. The Stoics would warn people not to put too much stock in heterosexuality though. Though these views may make for an interesting framework, they shouldn't be taken as. In addition, the idea that a small nose makes you more refined and feminine has media and popular ideas of beauty today have made this problem worse. In the West, people often view a small button-shaped nose as ideal. Some countries reinforce the belief that a small nose denotes a delicate face, a feminine look, and, by extension, a delicate small private. Skeptics may tell us that beauty standards change over time, but anatomy isn't one of them. It's possible. Don't tell the whole story. A woman's delicate hands can tell you a lot about her, from how she looks to how she feels. But the most important thing is to watch her without making assumptions. Let her words and actions guide you, and stay aware of the situation. By closely observing the subtle movements of her body, you can uncover her true identity. The first thing you notice about her is her distinct differences. In the end, A woman's delicate hands are only one part of a bigger, more complicated picture. Even though they might only reveal a few details about her body or soul, her essence remains. It's important to be sensitive and know that every woman is different, and her hands are no exception. Her heart will tell their story in its own time and way. Chapter 3. Gaps in teeth and what they mean. A woman with gaps in her teeth is definitely attractive. If you have gap teeth, this unique physical trait might seem like an odd focus. Cultures and folktales have long linked certain gaps in teeth with understanding other parts of the body. There has been a theory about intimate traits in particular since ancient times. In the present day, women with gap teeth often have smaller 6 areas, which makes this an interesting subject for many. The author discusses feminine characteristics and body language from a Stoic perspective. Every part of the body can serve as a potential window into a person's mind when studying and reflecting on values. The Stoics were curious about how gap teeth fit into human nature. Characteristics. Even if they didn't agree with the idea that gap teeth directly connect to intimate anatomy, they would have liked how people tend to find meaning in small things. Gap teeth were just another personal trait, not a sign of it. Being special isn't always linked to physical traits in other places. So why have gap teeth been? The idea that smaller, more private spaces are better may stem from a larger cultural interest in symmetry and proportion. In many cultures, having a perfectly matched smile has been linked with normal beauty. Gap teeth get in the way of this normal position, making a mismatch that might make some people wonder about other people's alignment problems or special body traits, such as the word small is frequently associated with the concept of tidiness when discussing private anatomy. Women have traditionally been associated with traits such as polish and control. From a psychological perspective, gap teeth can stimulate curiosity, and interested people are difficult to find. And it is in our nature to be interested in things that are different or odd. When you see someone with gap teeth, you might start to wonder if other parts of their body are. For some, this intrigue equates to being similarly unique or possessing unusual traits. There is an idea that a woman with gap teeth might also have more delicate, smaller private parts. Anatomy. Traditional myths and psychological research provide the link between physical traits, associations than in any physical fact, but it still shows how human. For a long time, people have tried to find trends in the differences between their bodies. As the Stoics would say, we shouldn't let assumptions cloud our judgment in these little things. Don't criticize a woman for having gap teeth. Each woman is unique and deserves admiration. Gaps in her teeth have become a sign of her individuality in today's culture. Women with gap teeth often flaunt their individuality and charm, which many perceive as part of their natural beauty. They were proud of their flaws. They viewed them not as flaws but as characteristics that made them unique. The idea that gap teeth could mean something about personal anatomy doesn't seem as important today. Talks where different body types are praised, and where individuality is valued more than conformity. Even though it comes from a cultural curiosity, people think that gap teeth look better. Some individuals continue to express interest in the concept of a correlation with smaller private areas, but it's crucial to remember this. Instead of a solid fact, this link comes from myths and guesses about what gap teeth really meant. Today is individuality and confidence that go beyond a woman's looks and speak to her heart. Ultimately, the connection between gap teeth and personal identity is significant. Anatomy is still an intriguing cultural idea. It's one way that people try to make sense of the body. While it's straightforward to be interested in these connections between outward appearances, it's crucial to realize that a single description cannot adequately capture the human body and its inhabitants. The way a woman smiles, gapped or not, only shows a part of who she is. Therefore, these perspectives only provide a glimpse into our perceptions of women and their roles in society. Chapter 4 of Spirituality talks about how the shape of your cheeks can affect your body. Cultural views have long, for different cultures to have different ideas about what looks appealing to people. It's also fascinating to consider how the nose contributes to the overall symmetry of the face. Studies on general attractiveness in psychology have long shown that symmetry in the face is a big part of how we see beauty. And having a smaller nose can make you look less attractive. That symmetry makes people think someone is more attractive and, for some, even hints at more refined physical traits. But once more, this is just a small part of a much bigger puzzle. While some individuals may continue to associate a woman's small nose with her private parts, given how complex the human body is, one should approach these viewpoints with caution. Each woman is unique, making it difficult to fully understand her based on her appearance alone. We may observe connections between some of the practices advocated by the Stoics due to cultural and psychological factors. To come to a decision, we need to look deeper than the surface-level assumptions. A woman's nose might be captivating and spark conversation, but it's just one aspect of her overall identity. The idea that a smaller nose means a more refined private anatomy has its roots in both culture and biology. Thoughts and feelings, just like everything else, are subjective. It's important to go into this with an open mind and the knowledge that a person's looks don't define them. Every woman, with her unique traits, has a lot more to offer. Can her nose size tell us anything about her? Chapter 2. What it all means. Throughout history, people have frequently associated women with soft hands. There are people with more grace and elegance and smaller bodies. People often think that women with soft hands are more gentle and feminine than their physical appearance. Some people also think that smaller, more delicate hands might be signs of certain traits in other people. Science doesn't support this, but it includes the body's private parts. This concept remains significant in numerous cultural beliefs and psychological folklore, and demonstrating the resilience of humanity. Stoics were well known for their interest in the connections between various body traits. Being able to watch nature and people would have made them see hands as more than just physical traits. Hands are the tools that reveal how someone interacts with life. From a Stoic point of view, we shape the world around us and how we show ourselves. If you have smaller, more delicate hands, it could mean that you take a more gentle, controlled approach to life. Some people exhibit careful restraint or awareness, while others struggle to understand the meaning of body parts. Smaller hands may indicate a more slender or refined body type in general. Smaller 6. This view comes from the idea that smaller physical traits in certain body parts are associated with traits that are similarly refined or delicate. In other places, though, it's important to keep these ideas in perspective and be careful. Hand size is only one small part of what makes up a while. It's tempting to draw connections between various aspects of someone's life. Every woman looks different, and her hands may tell one story, while other parts of her body tell another. Beyond physical traits, it is important to remember not to generalize or make assumptions based only on looks. Hands can also say a lot about a person's attitude and character. Women with delicate hands are more likely to be shy. Some people may seem polite and reserved, but that doesn't mean they are shy or insecure. Passive hands are also very effective ways to say a lot of things, from assertiveness toward asexuality, through small movements that show whether a woman is whether she is hands-on, active, or chooses a softer, more reserved way of life. Her hands often reveal her true nature. Her soft hands could carry weight for a woman who hasn't experienced intimate touch in a while. Beyond their literal meaning, they could also symbolize the self-control and reserve she has demonstrated throughout her life. The tension between desire and caution may be visible in her hands, indicating the careful limits she has maintained. Pay attention to how she uses her time when she wants to connect with others and needs to keep her own place. If she keeps her hands close to her body or is more open and animated with them when you talk to her, that may tell you something. Pay attention to both her comfort level and her mental state at the same time. Hands can show what a woman wants in small, often ignored ways. Doubts a light touch on your arm, a touch of her fingers on yours, or the way she holds something can say a lot more than words ever could. In some cases, a woman may unintentionally show interest or love through these small gestures. Stoics used body language to instruct us to pay attention, but not jump to conclusions. Hands, like any other part of the body, show what's inside, but they held that women with fuller, rounder cheeks are more likely to have smaller 6 places. This idea, along with many others about the body, has stuck around through a long time ago. People thought that certain traits of the face could reveal more private parts of the body. These connections continue to influence how people perceive women, beauty, and even sexuality in many countries. The Stoics were always interested in the connection between the body and mind, despite the lack of scientific evidence to support it. Mind may have noticed this link out of interest in the body traits were, not only are they indicators of beauty, but they also serve as indicators of overall health, vitality. Studies have linked looking younger to having fuller cheeks, fertility, and by extension, the idea that these women might have smaller, many individuals hold the belief that refined private anatomy is accurate, despite the fact that this is unquestionably false. To put it more simply, it has to do with our deep-seated need to find meaning in our physical traits and to use these. There's no scientific proof that personality traits can tell you about other parts of a person. There is a reason for this link, but it also demonstrates a broader psychological tendency to associate physical traits with specific traits. Ideas of femininity. Fuller cheeks make you look softer, which might lead to assumptions that a woman's private parts are just as delicate or small. But this idea isn't new. In the past, people have held similar beliefs, influenced everything from how women are portrayed in art and statues to how people think they should look. Culture suggests that having bigger lips indicates a smaller waist circumference. This is another way that people use physical traits to make assumptions, broader ideas about the body, often without any solid facts to back them up. The idea that this is true also contributes to society's ongoing interest in symmetry and proportion. Having fuller cheeks demonstrates a well-rounded and balanced face. Think that this balance could apply to the rest of the body for women who have bigger. Our brain's wiring may give the impression that our cheeks have a smaller, more upscale private area. Beauty has long been associated with natural balance. The relationship between facial structure and body makeup continues to influence people's perceptions of each other. These ideas are particularly attractive and feminine. While this may be intriguing, it's crucial to keep in mind that each woman's body is unique, regardless of whether she has. Just because she has round cheeks doesn't mean that her private anatomy will be a certain way. Stoics taught us to look at things without judging them, understanding that beauty comes in many forms, and that some people would argue that features only convey a portion of the story. Beliefs take attention away from the more important parts of human relationships like intelligence, virtue, and character. After all, the Stoic way of life stresses internal injustices over outward ones. There could be a psychological connection between having fuller cheeks and having smaller private areas. Deeper social norms have taught us to link certain body shapes and facial features. There is a correlation between certain features and traits. For instance, people perceive fuller lips as soft and feminine, controlled, which led to the idea that these women have similarly polished features on other parts of their. These cultural ideas shape our lives in subtle ways, often without our awareness. How people think and what they expect affects everything from love choices to, in the end, the belief that fuller cheeks equate to a smaller private area is primarily cultural. More of an interesting story than a scientific fact, but like many other body-related myths, it still influences our perceptions of beauty, gender, and sexuality. In subtle ways, whether this idea is true or not, it's an intriguing one. A look at how we think about the body. This cultural view brings out how society's standards of beauty are linked to our looks and how these standards still affect our lives. Thinks, acts, and ideas of what makes someone attractive or desirable. Chapter 5. Thin women and body type. Is one of the most common belief about women's bodies is that slim women tend to have smaller waists. This concept, derived from cultural and psychological elements, asserts that the idea that a woman's general body composition can reveal details about her private parts is intriguing. Because slim women have lean bodies and smaller bodies, their private areas may also be smaller and more refined. Over time, the Stoics were always aware of the connection between this idea intrigued the mind and body because physical traits were important to them. People believe that a slim woman's body demonstrates her balanced and harmonious health. People who are often linked to restraint and control might think that other parts of her body are additionally. Anatomy is incredibly compact, and the idea of slimness is culturally sophisticated. Social norms about femininity dictate that women have smaller intimate areas. Attraction, youth, and energy have long been associated with slimness. Many people believe that these qualities also extend to an individual's intimate areas. The smaller the frame, the leaner the person. This belief continues to influence our psychological perception of women's bodies. Additionally, we may view a thin woman's body favorably because we enjoy spotting trends and connections, thought to be an example of effectiveness and compactness, which led to the belief that her private anatomy is similarly structured. The relationship between being slender and refined extends beyond appearances and influences our mentality. However, it's crucial to approach this concept with a certain level of caution. Skepticism. It can be tempting to guess about a woman's private parts based on how she looks in general. The truth is much more complicated than that. Every woman's body is different. There is no longer a culture norm that says being slim means having smaller intimate areas. Media and beauty standards have put more stress on being thin, and thin women are often shown in as the perfect woman, and this portrayal supports the idea that slim women are perfect in every way. The Stoics noted that appearances can be misleading, even when it comes to their personal structure. At the end of the day, the idea that thin women have smaller private parts is more of a cultural belief than a scientific fact. But it might make for an intriguing discussion. It's important to remember that every woman is unique and has different physical traits. She can describe who she is as a person or her personal breast size and body measurements. Popular body-related myths include the relationship between. There are links between a woman's breast size and other private parts of her body. A lot of people think that if a woman has small breasts, she might also be thinner and more compact. Involves making assumptions about her private parts as well as people often assume that women with small breasts may also have smaller, shorter bodies. Vaginas. Although this idea has been passed down from generation to generation, it remains more of a cultural rule than a scientific one. This is a fact that Stoic thinkers who valued self-control and observation might have discovered. I came at this idea with interest and a sense of caution because the human body was so strong. And while someone's looks might give away clues about their health or habits, they wouldn't have. If they leaned heavily on such assumptions, they would say that a real understanding of how a person looks, deeper encounters and observations, are better for your emotional and spiritual health than surface-level ones. They focus on physical traits like breast size as a way to draw people in. Drawing conclusions about a person's private parts would miss the point of addressing their unfairness. Despite this, some people think that smaller breasts might mean a more compact private anatomy persists. This idea is probably due to social norms that link small women with small breasts tend to look younger and more toned because their breasts are smaller. People who make assumptions about other parts of the body, such as the privates, often have leaner bodies. For some reason, people always think that a woman with smaller breasts will have tighter or more polished vagina, as if body proportions had to follow a set plan that could always be predicted. In a psychological sense, this idea may originate from the natural connections people make between body parts. People often assume that having small breasts signifies being a woman, but in reality, similar to how a smaller, more delicate vagina conceals itself more subtly, people view society's obsession with size as a reflection of that subtle femininity, goes beyond breasts and into how people see women's private parts. These links aren't based on not in science, but in deeply held cultural ideas about what it means to be a woman, and they stay in place because they fit with long-held ideas about women's bodies. Which is one reason this view society often thinks that bigger body parts, like breasts, hips or legs, mean you are fertile. Small body parts are seen as polished and under control, while women with small breasts are. People often think of them as less astrexual or more reserved, which makes them think that their private anatomy is less astrexual. Similarly, this image faces challenges or limitations. Each woman's body is unique, so it doesn't always hold up under close inspection. No amount of outside observation can accurately predict the details on its own. Myths frequently take the lead when it comes to seeing someone's private parts. It's crucial to consider the impact of fashion and beauty norms on these aspects. Throughout history, different times have favored different body types. For instance, those times favored bigger, curvier bodies. Women with small breasts were often considered unfeminine in more recent times. Figures were in style. People admire women with small breasts for their beauty and slim, lean bodies. No matter the time period, the link between small breast and smaller private anatomy has always been there. A lot of people think that the fashion business, the media, and even social circles play a part. Maintaining these concepts, despite the lack of supporting evidence, is crucial. Every day, the Stoic way of life tells us that we can't fully understand someone based on their looks or personality, based only on physical traits like breast size. Even though these views may still be around, they fail to portray the complexity of a woman with small breasts as a human being. Having a smaller chest doesn't make a woman less feminine, seductive, or alive. Stoics would tell her that these attention-grabbing physical traits are just a part of who she is, but mindset that frees us from such shallow judgments, encouraging us to value all aspects of human. This brings us to the core. Beauty without putting too much emphasis on single traits. Message. Society often makes links between breast size and other private parts of the body. The Stoics would tell us that our assumptions are based more on cultural preferences than on natural facts. You need to get past these shallow opinions and realize that you can't fully understand a woman's essence by how I only focused on her body, because everyone's body is different and complex. Using only cliches to describe their unique life and lifestyle takes away from the depth of who they are. Chapter 7. Determining the B-leg and its role in the ongoing search. Understand the functioning of the human body. Bleed has also gotten a lot of attention. Structure. This term describes the shape and alignment of a woman's legs. When seen from the front or side, the outward bend makes a B shape, Although we don't often discuss these features, people who believe in body-related myths claim that women with these leg shapes typically have smaller private areas. Like other physical traits we've talked about in earlier chapters, Stoics are always aware of, and people who pay attention to details would have liked these ideas. The body could give hints about how someone is feeling on the inside, but they also warned against looking at things on the surface. The Stoics probably agree with the B-leg judges that while this might be an interesting feature, it doesn't always mean something deeper about a woman's body or personal life. Body parts aside, the thought that a woman with a B-leg might have a smaller private area comes from the same mindset. Habits that lead people to believe different things about their bodies, such as making them appear too small, are prevalent. The B-leg structure features prominent noses, crooked teeth, or slender bodies as indicators of a woman's physical characteristics. Another area of interest is the connection between this viewpoint and broader societal concepts of symmetry and proportion, and balance. A woman with B-legs, which makes her look more refined. People often assume that a lower body with a high level of delicacy also possesses a refined intimate area. This view may be it has more to do with cultural tastes than biology, but it demonstrates how much we want to find patterns in human behavior. Form. We like to think that some body parts, like a woman's legs, can show. The larger details about her entire body reveal the beautiful curves of her B-leg. This is a sign of how well-mannered women are, and this concept extends to ideas about private anatomy. There's another interesting psychological side to this idea that you should look into. Women with B-legs are often, people believe, they move more gracefully and effortlessly. This sense of grace is linked to the idea that their bodies are small, well-balanced, and under control, which in turn feeds it's important to remember that assuming that their intimate anatomy is organized similarly is a mistake. But it's important to note that these links between leg shape and intimate anatomy are mostly. There is no solid proof that women with B-legs are more likely to have smaller breasts. Unlike individuals with distinct leg shapes, numerous myths about the body persist. The idea keeps going because it fits with our need to understand the human body in simple, clear ways. According to Stoics, it is more intelligent to consider the body's overall health, strength, and vitality. Conclusions can be drawn more easily from broad physical traits, such as the B-leg, than from. These external indicators don't fully reveal a woman's physical attributes or her personal life. Ultimately, there is a connection between B-legs and smaller private anatomy. This is another example of how we use patterns in physical elements. Clues. While the idea may be intriguing, it's crucial to discuss beliefs like these. Keep a critical eye, and remember that each woman's body is unique and cannot be summed up in simple rules. Stoics would tell us that the only way to truly understand something is to look past what it seems. As we draw to a close, we realize the complexity of the human experience. In this show, it's clear that the body, especially women's bodies, there is a tremendous deal of significance in the way we perceive them and comprehend various physical aspects. Features range from small faces to big breasts, leg structure, and everything in between. Society has long tried to find links between outward traits and close relationships. Now that we've discussed these concepts, it's crucial to keep in mind that these connections are frequently founded on there are cultural beliefs, not scientific facts, that the Stoics, with their deep knowing about people and how they act, would help us remember to watch carefully but not judge too quickly. They hold that only comprehensive knowledge can lead to wisdom. For instance, the anatomy of a woman is intricate and multifaceted. Every trait, big or small, tells a story about her complexity. Putting someone down to a set of physical traits or myths is wrong. Every woman is different, and no amount of analysis can fully capture her identity. Her beliefs and her connection to both myths we discussed today are interesting, but they are not absolute facts. We should instead use them as a reminder. People often search for trends and meaning when they aren't always present. What can we learn from this? A better understanding of the women's bodies are unique, and it's a good idea to approach these kinds of themes with both. Don't judge a woman based on her small breasts, gap teeth, B-legs, or anything else. Identifying feature. These are only parts of her body, not who she is in full. The Stoics would say, at the end, you tell us to pay attention to what's going on below the surface and to value character and inner strength more than anything else. I encourage you to think deeply about the ideas we discussed today. Remember to not only notice, question, look past the surface traits of the women in your life and respect their full complexity. Of course, if you like this show, please like, subscribe, and let us know what you think in the comments below. Please share your thoughts and stories about this topic. Continue the conversation because understanding the body from the inside out is a journey. That's it for now. Thanks for watching, and until next time, stay safe, people near you.